For most of recorded galactic history, power was easy to measure. Fleet size, weapon yield, territorial control. The bigger your ships, the stronger your empire. Simple, predictable, safe. Every species followed the same path. Ships grew larger, weapons grew stronger, wars grew louder, and because of that, everyone believed they understood war. Everyone, except humanity. Humans respond with nothing impressive. Small ships, limited fleets, no visible megastructures. They are underdeveloped, industrial capacity moderate, military output unimpressive. Humans didn't compete. They didn't escalate. They didn't even try. Factories run, satellites launch, civilian traffic moves. Everything looks normal. Too normal. Atauhan dadamine flagged something unusual. Resource extraction logs. Asteroid belts being emptied. Quietly. No military reports. No public announcements. Just missing mass. Where's it going? No answer. Unregistered transport routes. No transponders, no signatures, no heat trails. It was as if matters simply vanished. Black market industrialization. Impossible at this scale. Then it is military. Humanity was flagged for covert expansion. Surveillance increased. Probes deployed. Deep scans initiated. Nothing. No shipyards. No hidden fleets. No weapon platforms. Just silence. Then came the maps. Entire regions of space, labeled gravitationally unstable, avoided by most species, useless, dangerous, unprofitable. What if? That's the point. Signal enters, static increases, sensors distort, then transmission spike, one frame of data, corrupted, but enough. Not empty space, not natural anomaly. Structure, impossible scale, curvature beyond comprehension. It wasn't a station. It wasn't a shipyard. It was a surface. The image is stabilized, zoomed, enhanced, and the chamber falls silent because what they're looking at is not being built. It is already built. A structure the size of a moon. Layered armor. Embedded continents. Energy signatures. Dormant. That is a warship. No species builds at this scale, unless they are not building ships. Humans didn't scale ships. They changed the definition of a ship. Project name. Silence. If we build bigger fleets, we lose. If we build louder weapons, we escalate. But if we build something they cannot understand, we win before the war begins. More scans, more anomalies, more structures. Not one, not two, dozens, hidden in gravitational noise. The galaxy had been watching humanity for decades, studying team, measuring them, judging them, and missed everything that mattered. A reconnaissance group enters one of the void regions. Orders. Confirm. Structure. Hasis threat withdraw. The surface expands across their screens. Endless. Silent. Dead. No energy readings. It's inactive. Then a signal. Weak. Ancient. Automated. Unauthorized proximity detected. Defensive protocols initiating the structure. Moves. Not fast. Not dramatic. But enough to break physics expectations. Enough to collapse every assumption. Planets do not move. The scout fleet doesn't fire. They don't run. They freeze. The structure moved. Not like a ship. Not like a station. Not like anything the Zarvathi had ever recorded. It turned slowly. Deliberately. as if the void itself abated. Dozens of ships. Armed, battle-tested. Now completely still. Report. Mass. Unchanged. Energy. Rising. A pause. A long one. Rising where? The answer comes quietly, everywhere. At first, nothing changes. Then lines begin to glow. Not weapons, not cannons. Patterns. Across the surface. Thousands of kilometers long. Like veins. Like circuits. Like something. Alive. The galaxy had built ships. Humanity had built systems. Gravitational stabilization complete. Target acquisition. Passive. Warning issued. It's talking. This wasn't a weapon platform. It was a thinking battlefield. The transmission shifts, no longer automated. Now, human, you are too close. Silence floods the channel. You were not meant to find this. The Scout Fleet commander gathers himself. This region is unclaimed. You are in violation of the voice interrupts. Come, not angry. Certain. No. You are inside something you don't understand. Energy spikes, not in one location, everywhere. The Zarvethi ships prepare shields, weapons charge. Target locks attempt to engage. They fail. Every system flickers. We can't lock onto anything, because there is no single target. The entire structure is the weapon. A section of the surface opens, not like a cannon, like a continent shifting. Light. Cathas, not bright. Dense. Heavy, like gravity is being compressed into a point. This was not energy. This was control. No beam. No projectile. No visible weapon. Just absence. A section of space disappears. And with it, half the scout fleet. Gone. No explosion. No debris. No signal. They are simply not there anymore. The remaining ships freeze. No one speaks. No one moves. They didn't get destroyed. Pause. They were removed. Space-time distortion, localized collapse, instantaneous precision controlled. The galaxy had weapons. Humanity had deletion. The human voice returns. Leave no anger, no threat. Just instruction. You were given distance. You chose proximity. A pause. Do not choose a third mistake. The Zarvethi fleet doesn't argue, doesn't retaliate, doesn't hesitate. They run. Engines overload. Formation breaks, ships collide, trying to escape gravitational interference. Behind them, the structure goes silent again. As if nothing happened. News spreads faster than light through relay chains, not rumors. Data. Verified. Cross-conferred. Impossible to deny. Footage plays over and over and over. Ships vanishing, not exploding, not burning. Erased. That wasn't a weapon. It was control over reality parameters. No pause. It was restraint. Because the most terrifying detail wasn't the shot. It was this. Only half the fleet was targeted. The rest were allowed to leave. Humans weren't trying to destroy them. They were sending a message. A broadcast is sent across all major galactic frequencies. Human origin. Unencrypted. Unhidden. We did not build these to conquer. Pause. We built them so we would never have to. More structures activate briefly. Not firing. Just existing, a silent demonstration. For centuries, power meant domination, fleet size, weapon output, destruction capability. Humanity changed the equation. Power became inevitability. The Zarvathi War Council prepares retaliation. Pride demands it, but strategy denies it. Engagement success rate near zero. Fleet survival probability. Catastrophic loss. Conclusion. War is unwinnable. Back in the Void region, the planet-sized warship drifts silently again. Dormant. Hidden. Waiting. The galaxy had feared human soldiers. Then, human civilians. Now, they feared what humans built when they were quiet. The galaxy thought humanity had built a weapon. They were wrong. They had built a memory. After the incident, the Coalition did something unprecedented. They didn't threaten, they didn't demand. They asked, why? No accusation, no hostility, just one word. Hours pass. Then a signal. Not military, not encrypted, personal. You want to know why we built them? He nods slowly. All right. Because we remember what it feels like to lose. We weren't always strong. We weren't always united. We fought each other. Long before we ever looked at the stars, we learned something back then. He leans forward slightly. That winning a war doesn't mean you don't lose everything. So we asked ourselves a different question. Not how to win, but how to make sure we never have to fight like that again. We knew we couldn't. Outnumber the galaxy. We couldn't outgun everyone. So we did something else. We made war meaningless. Those aren't just ships. They're statements. If someone attacks us, they don't fight a fleet. They face certainty. We didn't build them to use. We built them so no one would make us. That's the difference. No one speaks. Not for a long time. Because for the first time, they understand something deeply uncomfortable. Humanity didn't escalate. They ended escalation. If they wanted war, they would have already started it. And if we push them, then we deserve what happens. One by one. Species withdraw military interest in Earth, not out of fear alone, but out of understanding. Humanity, non-aggressive, high deterrence. Civilization, translation, do not provoke. Life continues. Exactly as before. Kids play. People work. Sun rises. No visible change. Because the greatest weapon humanity ever built is never shan. Do you think the galaxy fears humanity now? He smiles slightly. No. They fear what we learned. The galaxy built fleets to win wars. Humanity built something else. A future. Where war was already lost before it began. They didn't build weapons. They built peace that could not be challenged. The galaxy held its breath. A single, shattering revelation had rippled from the Orion Spur to the Magellanic Clouds, and everything stopped. The data, cold and irrefutable, painted a picture not of a young, naive species, but of a silent, waiting predator. Humanity. For centuries, they had been the galaxy's quiet neighbors. The odd ones, while other races built empires on conquest or trade, humanity built silently. Silently. They expanded slowly, methodically, their ships polite, their diplomats courteous. They shared technology, but never their most advanced. They observed galactic conflicts, but never participated. They were deemed harmless, perhaps even a bit backward. The consensus was that they were a species that had somehow bypassed the primal instinct for war. The galaxy was wrong. Horribly wrong. The revelation came from a Zelosian intelligence probe, a marvel of stealth technology designed to observe a species' core psyche. It wasn't supposed to be detected, but as it slipped into the Sol system, it wasn't just detected. It was dismantled, analyzed, and sent back with a single, simple message embedded in its quantum core. The message wasn't a threat, it was a library. It contained the complete, unvarnished military history of humanity. Millennia of conflict, from sharpened sticks and stones to theoretical planet-shattering weaponry. It detailed strategies that made the galaxy's most celebrated tacticians look like children playing with blocks. It showed a capacity for attrition, for endurance, for sheer, bloody-minded stubbornness that defied all logic. It revealed that for every peaceful handshake humanity had offered the galaxy, they had wargamed 1,000 ways to break the arm that offered it. The Council of Cathar, a race of beings so logical they considered emotion a genetic defect, was the first to react. Their fleets, poised on the edge of human-claimed space, had been preparing for what they calculated would be a swift, surgical strike to absorb Earth's resource-rich system. After analyzing the Library of Soul, as it was now called, they ran a new simulation. The result was no longer victory. It was a single, stark word: annihilation. Not just of their fleet, but of their home world, their colonies, their very memory. Their logic was flawless. The only winning move was not to play. Within hours, that armada had vanished, retreating back to their core worlds under a strict new directive: avoid humanity at all costs. Next were the Grok, a warrior race, brutal and proud, who saw peace as a disease. They laughed at the Cathar's cowardice. They saw the library not as a warning, but as a challenge. Their war chief, Gorgon, the Unbreakable, broadcast a system-wide declaration of glorious battle against the upstart apes. His fleet, a thundering wave of destruction, roared toward Earth. It never arrived. 10 parsecs from the Sol system, it simply ceased to exist. No explosion, no debris, no distress call. One moment, thousands of warships were tearing through subspace. The next, there was only empty space, bathed in the faint, lingering radiation of technologies the Grok couldn't even comprehend. It wasn't a battle. It was pest control. The Grok, for the first time in their history, understood fear. Their challenge was met not with a counter-declaration, but with a silent, terrifying demonstration of absolute power. The silence that followed was deafening. The galaxy wasn't just scared, it was profoundly confused. Humanity hadn't conquered anyone. They hadn't demanded tribute. They hadn't even made a single threat. They had simply shown what would happen if someone pushed them. Humanity, it turned out, had learned its own lessons well. Their entire history was a cycle of devastating wars, each more terrible than the last. They had looked at the stars, not with wonder, but with a weary, cynical eye. They saw the empires rising and falling, the endless skirmishes and conquests, and they recognized the familiar, ugly pattern. They knew that sooner or later, someone would come for them. So they prepared, full 500 years. While the galaxy squabbled, humanity had turned their entire civilization into a single, coiled weapon. Their peaceful colony on Kepler 186f. Its core was a fortress, its population a trained militia, their deep space research stations. They were disguised sensor nodes, part of a web that could see a fly sneeze on the far side of the galaxy. Their greatest achievement, a network of benevolent AI governing their society, had spent centuries running trillions of war simulations, designing weapons in the dark, and perfecting defenses that were indistinguishable from the fabric of space-time itself. They hadn't built a navy to fight a war. They had built a deterrent to make war obsolete. They had forged the ultimate sword, so sharp and so terrible that the mere knowledge of its existence meant it would never have to be unsheathed. The Great Galactic Armistice didn't come from a treaty. There were no grand speeches or ceremonies. It was a slow dawning realization in the collective consciousness of a million worlds. The squabbling stopped. The border disputes faded. The age-old rivalries seemed petty and pointless. Why fight for a planet when a quiet neighbor could unmake your star? A new era began, an era of uneasy but absolute peace. Trade flourished, not out of friendship, but because it was the only safe way to interact. Knowledge was shared cautiously, with the silent understanding that one species held all the cards. Humanity became a legend, not a story of glorious conquest, but something far stranger. They were the race that had spent centuries preparing for a war that never came. The race that had stared into the abyss of its own violent past and used that darkness to bring light to the galaxy. The race that ended war not by winning, but by showing everyone the true, unwinnable cost. On Earth, nothing changed. Children still played in parks, lovers still walked under the moonlight, and scientists still gazed at the stars. But now, when they looked up, they knew the stars were looking back, not with greed or aggression, but with a deep and abiding respect. Humanity had found peace, not among the stars, but within themselves, and in doing so, they had given it to everyone. Their quiet preparation became the galaxy's salvation, a silent testament to the idea that the greatest victory is the one that is never fought.